Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I'm your host, Jeff Hootselle. I'm the Chief Cloud Officer with Auditmacs. As you guys know, Tech Talk is a show we talk to IT leaders and subject matter experts in all different fields of technology. We'll talk about current events, interesting things they're working on, their companies, and some of the things that they're seeing for the future of technology. We've always got fantastic guests that join us on the show, and today is no different. Today we're actually joined by Marisol Peters. Marisol is a professor at the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Marisol, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Marisol, I know you're at the New Jersey Institute right now. You've also got 20 years of experience in the IT field, a lot of experience in the healthcare side of the business, and you're really passionate about the data side of things right now. Tell us a little about some of the things you're working on, what you're focused on up there at the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Absolutely, Jeff. So I've been a professor now going on 8 years. I teach medical informatics and many aspects of it. And in recent years, I've really shifted the focus of my curriculum to data analytics and mining for obvious reasons. With the introduction of meaningful use into healthcare, it really allowed for a lot of data to be collected and used meaningfully, as it's named, in order to really improve healthcare and assess how to manage chronic diseases, things that are perfectly manageable, such as diabetes, hypertension, and things of that nature. So that's been the focus of my teaching acumen at the university. But now, as I've just recently been accepted into the PhD program, I've taken some time off to really focus on the research and development side of things and defending my thesis, which is completely based on population health. But now we really need to look at population health a bit more globally, in the sense that we can't just look at the information that's being aggregated and collected at the healthcare level, which is hospitals, clinics, and doctors' offices. We need to now start to also look at data that comes from what you wouldn't normally consider to be part of healthcare. Data such as farming practices. There's actually surveillance analytics in the world of precision livestock farming, which are really intended to be used just in the farming community. But that information could play such a pivotal role in analyzing some of the trends that lead to viruses. And then on the flip side of things, you have information that's aggregated from wildlife practices, such as avian migrations. This is important because avian wildlife have been the biggest contributors to viruses, especially pandemic viruses, such as the one that we're experiencing now, which is bat-derived. So I think that as the world of data mining and analytics evolves, we now have to really look at doing something crazy, like combining and aggregating data from these very disparate fields, such as agriculture, farming, population health, and healthcare.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating when you talk about that, how you draw these parallels and get this information back from really unexpected places. I know you had a quote, hopefully this is accurate, I read this from another place you'd spoken at, that said, information's powerful, but it's how we use it that will define us. So hopefully that's an accurate quote that I read there. But
it is, it's accurate. Yes.
Yeah, I think you think about that now, and I see this in terms of COVID and some of the reporting that's on TV. We've seen a lot of conflicting evidence. So there's this 24-hour news cycle and this rush to have more and more information. Right. At the same time, we're also trying to grab and correlate data as fast as we can to help make meaning out of it, both to help people and protect them and also, advance things from a scientific perspective. What's kind of your take on that and kind of what you've seen from the use of data as we've gone through this pandemic and some of the reporting there and how scientists and the healthcare industry is really using that to search for a tool and also help advise the population on the best way to behave and keep themselves safe?
I think the reality is that we are still very much reactionary instead of taking a proactive measure. And I think that it took something as massive as COVID-19 for organizations such as the World Health Organization and the CDC to really start to hopefully shift their focus on predictive and even prescriptive analytics. Thus far, we've just really focus on descriptive analytics to just gauge where we are and how we've gotten here, but have made very little strides in the field of predictive analytics to really get a sense of, okay, based on these past behaviors, what can happen next? What viruses are potentially going to evolve next? And it's a shame because we've been here before at a much smaller scale with SARS and MERS, which both are coronaviruses, and stemmed again from avian wildlife. I think that we really need to now shift the focus to capturing information from things as disparate as feeds used with livestock and nearing environments that lend themselves to livestock and wildlife commingling, in order to really shift that paradigm, which is really what we need to do to prevent this in the future. So I think that unfortunately we just don't learn from the past or make really good use of technology. And I think that the time is now to really redirect investing and really putting the resources needed into analytics based on what's happening and what has happened. We have more than enough data. It's just not being used meaningfully enough to predict how this can happen or when this will happen next. And then from a prescriptive analytics standpoint, how to just prevent it or prepare ourselves for it.
Yeah, so as you look forward, do you think out a year or 2 or 3 years from now in this field of data analytics, I don't think anybody would argue with you the power that's there, that if you can harness that data and ask the right questions, what you can possibly do with it. What do you see as you look a year to 3 years out in this field? What are our biggest areas we need to make strides in, and what's the opportunity?
Well, if you ask me, my utopia would be, and I'm hoping that hopefully this lands on the right ears, I would think that realistically, the approach for the next 2 to 3 years has to be really in investing on how to capture information, again, from livestock management, farming practices, in conjunction with wildlife practices or migration patterns or behaviors in surrounding areas where livestock are bred and used for food sources. I think that needs to be the immediate focus, how to capture information, for example, pesticide use, feed use. Are you in an area that's near caves? If so, then it stands to reason you'll have bats in the immediate area. And I know this sounds so off the wall, but the reality is that it's the combination of these things that really lend themselves to the creation of novel viruses. So for the next 2 to 3 years, I think the first focus is how are we capturing this information, or how could we capture it, to then look for resources in aggregating it. And I think that companies will need to now look internally and say, who do we partner with to not only capture this information, but now use it in true artificial intelligence and in data analytics. So I think the software companies are going to now think outside of the box. A lot of software companies focus on population health, but again, just healthcare. So for the next 2 to 3 years, I think that it needs to be data capture in all of these areas that I just mentioned, and then partnerships in information and with software companies that will make good use of it.
Yeah, Marisol, I think it's fascinating stuff. I mean, to be able to draw correlations from those seemingly different worlds and use it for really powerful things is pretty amazing. We're all really looking forward to seeing what you come up with and seeing some results of some of your research and things like that in the near future. But if folks want to connect with you and learn more about some of the stuff you're working on and some of your theories and some of the data analytics practices you have, where can they find you? Where can they connect and learn more?
Oh, the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I do a lot of my networking there, and I try to share a lot of information. I soon will be posting some information on the coronavirus to really help people understand what it is and how it behaves and how it came to be. So on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think any sources we can get for good, solid information at this time is definitely valuable stuff. So we definitely appreciate you. Appreciate all that you're doing as well. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You
Take
got
care
it.
and good luck.
Thanks, Marisol. Stay safe up there. And thank you guys for joining us as well. We'll look forward to seeing you on our next Tech Talk.